Howdy everyone, I'm that dude over there, and this will probably be the easiest challenge we have done yet. Can you beat Fire Emblem, the Sacred Stones, with 5 units? So I wanted to clear this challenge before moving on to Radiant Dawn, for a single reason. I might explain it here, I might not, you might hear it in Radiant Dawn. But that being said, the Sacred Stones is one of the easiest Fire Emblem games, and as such, might be one of the few rare instances where I play on the hardest difficulty. You all know the rules by this point. I can only use 5 units, all other units must be killed off, and until they are, they have to wait. And with that out all the way, let's see if I was able to clear Fire Emblem the Sacred Stones with 5 units. So let's start with our 5 units. My initial plan was to have Erika, Ephraim, Luke, Ross, and Joshua as our team. I wanted this team because we would have had full coverage of the weapon triangle, access to the magical triangle, and healing. Oh, and I guess a crit master in the form of Joshua. However, there was a few flaws with this plan. 1. Erika isn't fast enough to recruit Ross before enemies kill him, and his father. 2nd, how am I going to recruit Joshua without using Natasha? And 3, going without a healer for the early game could spell disaster for someone who has never played hard mode before. So, instead of having this fun team that I would love to use, we have to sack either Ross or Joshua. If we take Vanessa instead of Joshua, we get access to a flyer that promotes and learns Pierce skill, but at the expense of a Swordmaster. But if we take Natasha over Ross, we get an early game healer at the expense of a Berserker. Unless I spent days on Ross's map manipulating the RNG, there was no way I can get a team with Ross and Joshua together, and because of this, I decided to go with Joshua, only because of his naturally high crit rate, and Natasha's purpose to replace vulneraries. Prologue. This map could have gone better. See, at this time I was still trying to figure out who I would use for my 5 units. In the Sacred Stones, you start with Erika and Seth, and I thought about using Seth instead of Erika, because, let's be real here, Erika is not a great unit. She's awful. She's like Mist, but a protagonist. Ew. So I thought about, why not clear this game with a pre-promote? It would be so much better. Except, I couldn't move past the 2nd map, because Erika needed to seize. Thus, I would have to use her. Luckily, because of Erika's chance to critical with her rapier, we got through the map pretty easy. Chapter 1. For map 2, our strategy is to place Erika on a fort. This will give her a defense buff, while healing her every player phase. Erika is a frail unit, so keeping her alive in these chapters takes all priority over her getting kills. We have Franz and Gilliam killed, but not before engaging in a miraculous game of hot potato with an inventory full of vulneraries and a steel sword. It takes a while, but we do defeat the enemy commander and save Princess Tana of Frelia from a premature death. On Chapter 1. Chapter 2. With access to the convoy and the open world map, we get more soldiers to kill off and less of a reason to keep Seth around. We sack off Mulder the Boulder, Vanessa, and unfortunately Ross. Garcia survives, but that's only to go back home and tell his wife on why their son is now lying in an unmarked grave. Chapter 3. Colm dies. Spoiler, I guess. This chapter teaches me that I need to stock up on chest keys, as Colm steals loot that I could never obtain thanks to not having an early thief. Niamey doesn't die, sadly, and we move on. Chapter 4. We obtain loot, but keeping her alive is no easy feat. Loot is an amazing mage, but all the enemies here hit loot in her lackluster defense stat. Her only weakness! Oh god! So we reset and try again. And again. And on attempt number 3, we successfully complete the chapter, killing Niami and Arthur off in the process. Chapter 5. Alright, unlike Blazing Sword, I'm arena grinding this chapter, and I don't feel shame about it at all. We get Natasha and Joshua this chapter, but miss out on the village in the top corner of the map. We level all the main characters, except Natasha to level 20, and defeat the boss with a fireball from our now stacked loot. Chapter 5X. Alright, this chapter, we control Ephraim and his posse of cavaliers as he storms Castle Renval alone. Normally this would be a huge problem. It's only Ephraim and there's no other units I can use. However, here's the thing. Ephraim is stacked. Like, we may compare Erika to Mist from Path of Radiance, but Ephraim is like Ike from Path of Radiance, and he don't need that backup. All I have to do is the Franz Gilliam shuffle with the items while Ephraim lives up to his legacy of being invincible. Before the chapter ends though, we do have to make sure to kill Orson, since this is the only chapter we'll be able to do so. Spoilers on why. Chapter 6. Returning with Erika, Chapter 6 is a Fog of War map, where saving all the villagers rewards us with an Orion's Bolt. However, we don't have any archers to promote. So, unlike any other chapter, we can take our time, just to make sure that no one dies in the process of defeating the boss. Despite this, we still have to reset when Natasha suffers from temporary death, thanks to a cavalier with a javelin. Thanks guy, I want to kill your family. We succeed in our next attempt and manage to get the Orion's Bolt from the villagers. Before moving on to the next chapter, we return to chapter 5 to sell that bolt and stock our 100 capacity convoy nearly full with blades, tomes, and staves. Chapter 7. Here, we storm the outside of Castle Renval to find our brother Ephraim. See, last we left Ephraim, he was surrounded by Grotto forces led by General Walter. We need to save Ephraim before he gets turned into Grotto soup by his executioners. This chapter isn't too hard, and we spend our time leveling Natasha to a higher level for a guiding ring promotion, whenever we get one. Chapter 8. So Orson's reanimated corpse leads Seth and Erika to Castle Renval, and we learn here that Orson is a dirty traitor and ambushes us with Grotto's men. But that's not where the difficulty lies. See, Ephraim, the mad lad that he is, summons himself to aid Erika in the battle, which is all fine and whatnot, but Kyle and Ford, his retainers, also join him, and they have usable weapons. We basically have to race down to get there before reinforcements to show up, and force Kyle and Ford to use weapons. We have to reset because I overestimate Lute's ability to dodge against an armor knight, and she dies, non-surprisingly. But like all things, on attempt number 2, we successfully beat the chapter. A new journey. From here, it's a route split, where, depending on your lord, the war's context changes. We can choose Ephraim and bully a nation into submission for killing our dad. Lion still stays the bad guy, and we save Magvell. But that requires so much more effort, and they have harder chapters for us to go against. So I decide to go on Erika's path, where we try and get allies for the war, learn that Lion's a good person, and it's only been corrupted thanks to the Darkstone's power. Don't ask what the Darkstone is, I'm not going to bring it up later. Not only that, but, you know, I have the most experience with this chapter, and out of the two routes, this is probably the easiest. Chapter 9. Let's play a game. Every time Lute dies, take a drink. This is the first chapter where she dies again. This is going to be a trend, I can feel it. But that's alright, because Erika also dies on this map, to a Myrmidon. It's only on our third attempt that we succeed, because we stop rushing through the map and begin our turtle crawl to keep our units safe. Chapter 10. Now it's time to protect Inez from Carcino troops who want to kill him for the Grotto Empire. Who's Inez? Well, he's the brother to Tana, the girl we saved in Chapter 2, but I think killed in Chapter 9. In any case, we don't actually care about Inez, or his duo of delinquents. What we really care about is the items that we can get this chapter. Garrick, one of his allies, holds a hero's crest, which we can use to promote Joshua into a swordmaster. With this and Pablo's guiding ring, that's our main incentive to complete the map. Now, the guiding ring can promote Lute or Natasha, and while it would seem that Lute would be the better of the two to promote, mostly because she's putting the most effort into battle, it's actually Natasha who we have to promote. See, with Natasha's promotion, she becomes a combat unit, meaning that she could actually be of some use outside of being a human vulnerary for our allies. Not only this, but with her promotion into a Valkyrie, she can get far extended move, which is going to help us in a later chapter. So, we promote Natasha into a Valkyrie, Joshua into a Swordmaster, and move on our way with no deaths. Chapter 11. Welcome to another Fog of War map, where we are encouraged to save La Rochelle and Dazla from the entourage of monsters that hide in the haze. However, we use this chapter to clear out the bench of traitors to the cause, so we offer Tethys and Inez as food for the demon spawn, while we escape with La Rochelle and Dazla chasing after us. Chapter 12. After getting another allies for the cause, I sit down and think to myself, I think we're ready for a purge. So while we move about and clear the monsters that attempt to devour us, Seth takes off with a gargoyle to enjoy his new life as food. La Rochelle sacrifices her horse to a monster dog, so that way she can sit on the sidelines for the rest of the journey. Sala gets mauled by some monster dogs, while Ewan gets cut down by a minotaur. Dazla suffers a great loss to a gargoyle after a stunning battle of fists to spears. Oh, and Garrick sprains his ankle after continuously dodging hordes of monsters, leaving him unfit for battle. Chapter 13. Alright, we have to survive 11 turns against the Grotto army while trying to make our way to the desert kingdom of Johanna. This chapter is notable because we kill Cormac, who thought that we killed his brother Glenn. Listen buddy, I know we've killed a ton of people so far, but I think I would remember killing a time-traveling frog, or some kind of dimension-hopping mercenary. Shit, sorry, I've been playing too much Chrono Trigger. Which Glenn are we talking about again? Regardless, we have to reset because we used the wrong part of the map as a choke point and get Lute killed by a ranger near the boss. Chapter 14. This chapter, we finally promote Lute into a sage after recruiting Redak to the team. We're not using him, but I do need him in order to access the secret shop to grab a guiding ring. We'll dispose of him next chapter since trying to this chapter didn't get him killed. We do find one purpose for Redak, who doesn't do anything while doing so. While approaching the boss, there is a cleric that holds a berserk staff. So, let me explain berserk status. If you get hit with the berserk staff, you will get berserked, meaning you will turn against your allies, which is not good considering Joshua is holding the killing edge. I do not need him turning against us and landing a critical hit against Erika, Luke, or Natasha. So with Renak holding no weapons, he blocks off the cleric from reaching our units until Joshua can get close enough to take him out. Chapter 15. After turning Joshua into an orphan, we watch as our 4 units and Renak get surrounded by Grotto and its 2 generals, Kalek and Balter. We aren't exactly in trouble, as turtling through the map isn't going to get us killed, but our problem comes from Ephraim, who rejoins us this chapter. Ephraim doesn't really have the support to carry himself towards us while traveling the desert, and we need him to rejoin the group so that way we don't suffer a game over when he dies. We have to reset the chapter a lot compared to before. Our first reset comes from Dussel attacking a druid, then Ephraim dies to a horde of cavaliers, and then mages, and well, you get the idea. We get Joshua the hop on guard, so that way he can block critical hits that go against him. We also give Luke a pair of boots we find in the desert to keep up with the rest of the army. It's also here where we finalize our supports among the group. Our plan was to get A supports with Joshua and Natasha, and then get an A support with Erika and Ephraim. This is because, well, these are the only supports that the team can get amongst each other. Chapter 16. Now that our team is put together, we can finally return home and kick Orson's ass for betraying us back in Chapter 5X. Or 6. Oh, and we send a little girl that wanders into the battlefield to die after robbing her of her goods. This chapter isn't that bad, and I fondly remember it because I was listening to Megan while recording it. After completing the chapter, Erika and Ephraim promote into cavaliers that are weapon locked, and bury the hatchet with Orson, since we all know he was Chapter 17. Filler. That's the word I would describe this chapter. Nothing in note happens except punishing Lion for having his soul stolen by the Demon King. Filler. Chapter 18. This is another challenging map where, because of our few units, we will have a tougher time winning. See, the gimmick of the map revolves around these things called Gorgon eggs. After an unspecified amount of time, the eggs will hatch into monsters, some of them stronger, and some of them weaker, than the current enemies on the field. We have to reset a couple times because Shadow Shot's a bitch, but we successfully rout the enemy. It's really funny how Erika also screws the whole army over by trusting the Demon King not to break their sacred stones. My lord. Getting missed flashbacks all over again. Chapter 19. Our final Fog of War map for the Sacred Stones has Team Erika protect Rostin's king in return for their Sacred Stone. This chapter is the reason why I turned Natasha into a Valkyrie. See, if we stay in the room with the king, we will die, no doubt. Joshua can handle his own with his killing edge, so we have the remaining units bring the king to a different room to create a choke point with its single entrance. Joshua takes care of any remaining foes that would stop our survival, and we lose out on a bunch of loot, but that's alright because our convoy is still full. Chapter 20. Now with the Sacred Stone, TM, we charge toward the Demon King's lair and defeat as many reinforcements as we can along the way. We defeat our first Draco zombie and Rev, and not gonna lie, it was only slightly annoying, as whenever I thought I had an opening to go for the boss, new reinforcements would come and act as a total distraction. This is a chapter where I started busting out all the good weapons, and you know, I think Emblem had a point when he said something about a loaded gun. Endgame. Sacred Stone. I'm going to give these next 2 maps an award for being the most irrelevant chapters in Fire Emblem. The first part has our 5 units charged towards the Demon King's husk to kill him. The toughest part about this chapter are the single Draco zombie we face along the way, and the Demon King with his Naglfar tome. However, leave it to Erika and Ephraim to lead the way. You know, but more Ephraim than Erika. For part 2, our 5 units charged towards the Demon King's husk to kill him. However, unlike the last time, we're the ones who turned the Demon King into a husk by sealing his soul away into rust and sacred stone. Well, Rachel, do not pull an Erika with this, I swear to God. And unlike Ashnard, the fire dragon, or heck, if I want to go recent with this, Sombron from Fire Emblem Engage, Formortis is the easiest boss you've ever seen in any Fire Emblem game. You know, except maybe like Thracia, but you know, I haven't actually beaten Thracia, so leave me comment if I'm wrong. But I guarantee you that Formortis is the easiest hands down. Anyway, Erika, Ephraim, and Joshua defeat the husk with Siegmund, Sieglind, and Odholma, and save Magvell from the Demon King. Congratulations! You saw the easiest game get beaten with only 5 units. This is honestly the saddest game to play through because I'm certain this game can be soloed with just Erika or Ephraim, but as promised, next time we'll return back to Tellius to see what kind of changes happen between Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe as it helps people like me who are idiots at promoting videos. Until then, have a nice day, and from one stranger to the next, stay safe out there.